There's no shortage of must-have tools out there. The best project management app, the only CRM you'll ever need, the perfect sales funnel system, and somehow they all sound urgent. Like if you don't sign up today, you're already behind. But here's what I've learned. The best tools aren't the ones with the most features or the loudest marketing. They're the ones that actually fit you, the way that you like to work, what you actually need. Tools that make things simpler, not more complicated. Today, I'm sharing the ones that I rely on the most, what I use, and how I decide what's actually worth the space in my business and for my time. So, welcome back to Boldly Introverted, the online business podcast. I'm the creator behind Empower Your Spark, where I help women build online businesses that actually fit their lives, not someone else's formula. There's a certain kind of pressure that builds when you're running an online business, especially when you're in the early stages. Every corner of the internet is full of advice on the best tools, the essential tech stack, the platforms you have to be using if you want to grow. So it's easy to feel like you're falling behind before you even start. But the truth is, most of us don't need more tools. We just need the right ones, the ones that actually make things easier, support the way we work, and help us stay focused on what matters. For me, that's been a process of trial and error. And honestly, I've tried a lot. In this episode, I want to walk you through the tools that I use now, the ones that I come back to again and again because they actually help me. Not just because someone said that they're the best, but because they fit the way that I think, plan, create, and generally run things day to day. So my core setup right now includes FEA Create, which powers pretty much the whole back end of my business, my website, my products, checkout, all of it. Canva is my go-to for everything visual, from my social posts to graphics for my sales page to creating my freebies. And Notion is the brain of the operation. It's where I plan and organize and keep track of everything. I also dip into Trello and ClickUp here and there, but those three, FEA Create, Canva, and Notion, do most of my heavy lifting. And lately, I've been shaping a bigger system around how I use them together, and I'll be sharing more about that soon. But for today, I want to keep it simple and show you how I choose what tools are worth sticking with and why that choice has way more to do with your work style than any tools features list. So with that in mind, what does that actually look like in practice? Let's break it down a bit. I want to walk you through how I think about choosing tools, the role each of my core systems plays, and a few honest lessons I've learned along the way. So when it comes to tools, it's easy to feel like you need everything. You need automations and analytics and integrations and funnels, all of it. But for me, the goal has always been kind of simple. I just want tools that help me stay focused, work consistently, and make decisions without getting overwhelmed. Tools that support how I work, not how someone else says that I should. So in this episode, I'm walking through the approach I use to choose tools that actually work for me. We're going to start with a look at how your own work style and preferences should shape your choices, because that's where everything really starts. Then I'm going to talk about why I chose FEA Create as my all-in-one platform and how it's helped me simplify my messy backend of running an online business. From there, I'm going to talk about how I use Canva without falling into the trap of endlessly tweaking things. And finally, we're going to look at how Notion has become the place where everything comes together for me, my planning, content, tasks, ideas, all of that. So each tool plays a different role, but together they create a system that actually feels workable for me. Not just productive, but manageable. And that's made all the difference. So let's start with the piece that most people skip, your actual way of working. Before the platforms, before the subscriptions, before the trial and error setups, it really helps to pause and ask, how do I naturally get things done? Because the answer to that question should shape everything else. It's easy to jump into tools because of what they promise. More ease, more automation, more growth, more customizations. But if the way a tool functions is completely out of sync with how you think, plan, and create, it's just going to slow you down. I learned this the hard way. I've tried tools that were technically, quote unquote, the best, with all the features and all the integrations, but they just made me feel scattered. They asked me to work in ways that didn't really come naturally to me, and if I have to fight with a system every time I use it, I'm not going to stick with it, no matter how impressive it may look on paper. So now, when I'm choosing tools, I start with how I like to move through my day. Do I need a clean visual layout to see progress? Do I think best when I can write things out in long form? Do I prefer fewer clicks, even if it means I don't have as many features? The answer to those questions matter a lot more than whether a tool is popular or powerful. For example, I need flexibility. I like to see the big picture, but I also need to zoom into details quickly without getting lost. That's one reason that Notion works so well for me because I can structure it in my way, not the other way around. And with FEA Create, I finally found a platform that kind of does it all: website, emails, checkouts, funnels, automations, with way more customization options than I expected, but it still feels intuitive and simple to use. And honestly, the community that surrounds it is absolutely amazing. So it's powerful, but it doesn't overwhelm me. Choosing tools this way isn't about what's impressive. It's about what feels usable. And that often means ignoring what everyone else is using and tuning into what actually helps you stay grounded and on track. This mindset shift has helped me cut through the noise and stop jumping from one shiny thing to the next. Instead of constantly looking for the next fix, I've started building a setup that fits. Not perfectly, but well enough to keep moving forward without quite so much friction. Once I got clear on how I actually like to work, choosing the right tech became a lot easier. And one of the biggest decisions for me was finding a single platform that could hold the core of my business without needing to duct tape together a whole bunch of different tools for all of the different functions that I needed. So that's where FEA Create comes in. I had tried a lot of platforms before landing on FEA Create. Some felt overly complicated, like I needed to watch 100 hours of tutorials just to be able to get started. Others were a little too basic, and I kept running into limitations where I had to pay even more money to add add ons to do things that I honestly thought were fairly standard. I wanted something that could grow with me, that wasn't going to be completely overwhelming from day one. So, what drew me to FEA Create was how much it could do and how natural it felt to use. So, from my website to my digital products, email marketing, and payment systems, everything runs through FEA Create now. And it's not just a patchwork of features. It's built in a way that actually makes sense when you're running a business solo. There's a ton of room to customize, from branding to automation to the structure of your offers. But I never felt like you had to be a tech expert to make it work. I mean, I know tech, but this felt very easy. The interface is very intuitive. The tools are connected in smart ways, and the learning curve is refreshingly manageable. Honestly, it feels like it was designed by someone who understands what it's like to build a business on your own, not just someone trying to sell a Swiss Army knife of all of the current features. What I love most is how central everything feels. I'm not constantly switching tabs or logging into separate accounts to piece things together. I don't have to do much in the way of integrations. I can create a sales page, set up a checkout flow, send an email, automate everything, and update my website and blog all in one place. That kind of simplicity adds up. It saves time, but more importantly, it saves energy. And if I'm being completely honest, it saves you money in the long run because you're not paying for 10 different tools that end up costing hundreds of dollars a month. And when you're the one behind every piece of your business, that really matters. There are always going to be more advanced platforms out there, or ones with newer features or different features. But for me, FEA Create does exactly what I need and more, honestly, without making things complicated just for the sake of it. It helps me stay focused on the work that actually moves my business forward. So, before we jump into the creative side of things, I just wanted to pause for a second. If this kind of episode has been helpful, where I walk through the real tools and systems behind the scenes, make sure you're following or subscribed so you don't miss what's coming next. I've got more episodes like this in the works, and eventually I'll be sharing the full system I've been building behind the scenes. And if you've got a friend who's in the thick of figuring things out on their own tech stack, feel free to send this to them. It might make things a little less overwhelming. So much of running an online business is visual. You've got social posts, sales pages, digital products, freebies, banners, thumbnails, etc. Even if the words are great, the design still needs to work. And for me, Canva is what keeps that part of the process moving instead of turning into a never ending project. There's a moment a lot of us hit when we're creating something where we get stuck trying to make it look just right. The colors, the fonts, the layouts. And suddenly, what started as a simple post or a simple lead magnet becomes a full on design spiral. I've been there more than once. And that's why Canva has become such a staple in my process. It gives me enough freedom to create things that look and feel aligned with my brand without dragging me into perfectionism. The templates are solid, the interface is smooth, and once I've set up a few branded elements, I can move a lot faster, reuse, adjust, and move on. I use it for everything from Instagram graphics and Pinterest pins to full product mockups and my sales page graphics. And the best part, I don't need to overthink it. I have a few go-to layouts, a set of brand colors and fonts saved, and that's usually all I need. I'm not designing from scratch every single time. I'm building from a foundation that already feels good to me for my brand. That's been key for me, is giving myself enough structure to not get stuck, but not so much that I feel boxed in. Canva makes that balance really easy. I can start with a template and customize it just enough to make it feel like mine, so it's flexible without being really fussy. It has also made it easier to stay consistent. When my visuals look cohesive, it feels like my brand has a stronger presence, even if I'm a one-woman show for the moment. The sense of cohesion helps me feel more grounded in what I'm building. Design doesn't have to be a superpower to look professional. For me, Canva bridges the gap between DIY and polished. It's not about chasing perfection, it's about getting things out there clearly and consistently. And Canva, honestly, is just so easy to use in comparison to other design platforms. So we've covered the operational side with FEA Create and the visual side with Canva, but there's one more piece I lean on constantly, probably more than anything else, and that's Notion. It's the place where I plan and reflect and organize and keep everything connected behind the scenes. So I used to have notebooks everywhere, sticky notes and half-finished planners, random Google Docs. Everything was scattered. I always had ideas, but I didn't have a system to hold them, and Notion changed that for me. It's not a planner. Honestly, it's my complete business hub. I use it to map out content, track my projects, store notes from courses, and outline upcoming plans. If it lives in my business, it probably lives in Notion. And the beauty of it is that I've built it to match how I actually think. So it's not a one-size-fits-all system. It's layered, very layered, and flexible, and constantly evolving around me. So what makes Notion work so well is that it can hold both structure and mess. Some days I'm mapping out a full content calendar. Other days I'm just brain dumping ideas into a running list. It actually holds space for both. I don't feel like I have to be perfectly organized to use it, but when I am ready to organize, the structure is actually there. I've also started building out repeatable systems in there, checklists for launching, templates for blog posts, workflows for planning, little things that help me not reinvent the wheel every time I sit down to work. It also includes links to my standard templates in Canva so I don't have to go searching. It contains my ChatGPT prompts to help me get started. And because I can customize it completely, it never feels bloated or confusing. I'm not stuck with someone else's categories or setup. It's mine. It grows with me. And honestly, that alone has saved me so much time and decision fatigue. Out of everything I use, Notion is the tool that makes the rest of the tools make sense. It's where strategy, ideas, and execution all meet for me. And honestly, without it, I'd probably still be hopping between 3 calendars and a stack of notebooks, trying to figure out where I was before. At the end of the day, the tools don't run your business, you do. They're there to support you, not lead the way. And when you choose ones that actually fit how you work, what you need, and how you like to move through a day, everything honestly gets a little lighter. For me, that's meant building a stack that's not the trendiest or the flashiest, but one that works. FEA Create runs the backend, so I'm not stitching together tech every time I launch something. Canva helps me stay visible and on brand without spending hours stuck in design tweaks. And Notion gives me a home base where all the ideas and plans can come together. It's not perfect, but it is solid. And more importantly, it's mine and it works perfectly for me. There's no one size fits all tech stack, no perfect combo that works for everyone. But when you start with what helps you feel focused, capable, and supported, it gets easier to drown out all the noise. You don't need 20 tools, you just need the right ones for you. If this episode helped you think differently about how you choose tools or gave you some clarity on what's worth keeping, I'd love it if you'd share it with someone else who might be feeling stuck in the tech overwhelm. And if you haven't already, go ahead and follow the show so you don't miss what's coming next. I'll be sharing more behind the scenes episodes soon, and eventually more about the system I've been building that ties all of this together. Also, if FEA Create sounds like something that could simplify your business too, I've linked a free 14-day trial in the show notes so you can take a look and see if it feels like it might be a good fit for you too. Thanks for listening. Talk soon.